The Brothers of Liberty, here to remind you what true freedom is. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Liberty with the older brother Kelton here. Today we're going to be talking about Ukraine and Russia and why, after this video, I won't be talking about them anymore. Um, Now I'm going to talk to them when major developments happen, but everyone has an opinion about it. Some for Russia, some against Russia, some for Ukraine, some against Ukraine. But the one thing that is common is the mainstream media, and even other media sources, are all focusing on that, no matter what side you are on. Um, Now, with that being said, this is not a video of taking sides, but this is a video on how we should not be looking at Russia and Ukraine and look at somewhere else. Because the whole question is, why are we focusing so much on Russia and Ukraine? What is happening that we don't know about? Um, you know, and like I said, it doesn't matter who you are; you're talking about it. Um, so now let's go through what's been happening at least today. And mind you, it's been about 10 days now, 2 weeks since it started. So let's see what we've been missing at least today, not to mention every day for the past 2 weeks. Um, a committee house meeting of Homeland Security, Committee of Homeland Security, actually had a second meeting today on FEMA, building a workforce prepared and ready to respond. Um, Funny how that's being swept under the rug. People are paying attention to Russia and Ukraine and not about that. Also, a bill is being passed through the House today, or at least it passed in the Senate in December, and today they're talking about it in the House, or yesterday, and it's up for vote. The Senate Bill 854 Methamphetamine Response Act, to designate methamphetamine as an emerging threat, and for other purposes. Um, they're calling that a threat, but they're passing out crack pipes. Awesome. You look at the international news, pretty much dominates the headlines. Although I did see one about flooding in East Australia, if I remember right, but can't recall any other news source things on the one website I looked at. Even in the local news, um, talked about a woman from Columbia, South Carolina, who was living in Ukraine and moved out safely, and about people in Greenville, South Carolina, having some relatives in Ukraine. Um, and in the WIS, which is my local news for Columbia, South Carolina, that I watch, under the national news section of their website, despite the fact it's not national because Russia and Ukraine is international, they're talking about Russian forces attacks on Ukraine civilian areas. Um, so yeah, that's like even in local news sources, they're talking about it. Um, and the only thing that is causing is a lot more division among people in the United States, and also now possible hate crime attacks because there was a restaurant in Washington, D.C., which is, remember, mainly the tolerant left lives there, your lovely Democrats, target a Russia House restaurant. Um, and because it's a Russian themed restaurant, they put pro Ukraine messages up there and things like that, even though the owner himself says that he's not Russian. So you could imagine what might be happening to our Russian immigrants here just because they're Russian. But you don't hear that on the news. So yeah, more division is being created. Um, that's why in my news headlines, I don't know if you noticed today, the only thing I mentioned about Russian was that the Dow Jones, in response to Russia moving on to attack another place, dropped 600 points. My news headlines itself will not be focusing on Russia or Ukraine. I'm gonna move away and look at what's happening in the United States and other parts of the world as we should be seeing. I mean, for crying in the United States alone, we have California now amending a bill, which I'm gonna do a longer video on that, with pretty much more gun control and taking away more gun rights. Actually, they have two bills. One is amending a bill, and the other one is actually creating a whole brand new bill, which has nothing to do with, um, they talk about safety in schools, but really has nothing to do with safety in schools. It has to do with trying to create a registry for parents with guns. And I'll talk about that bill later. I actually learned that bill from a YouTube person I watch called the Liberty Doll. So, with all that being said, I myself, yeah, I'm gonna still pay attention to it because I have my thoughts on it and stuff, which I know if I said my thoughts, YouTube would cancel me in a minute. Um, but I'm gonna keep focusing on myself, Russia. But as far as for me now, I can't speak for my brother. But as for me, I'm not going to mention anything about Russia or Ukraine. So if you're looking for that news, you're barking up the wrong tree here. Like I said, I will look at it. I may give an opinion or two, but that's not going to be my main focus here. Because, I've always learned when the media is having you to look here, you should be looking there. Because they want everyone to look here for a reason. And that's never good when people are looking in one place and not looking at other places. So I'm sure there'll be other sources that will be still looking at that, and which I will also be following. I'm not saying you shouldn't look at that, and but I'm just saying that there's other areas we should be looking at now, especially with certain laws that are coming into actions and certain things that the House and Senate are doing. Like I mentioned with the one bill and the uh, second meeting of the FEMA. Um, why do they need a beef up FEMA? That's what I would like to know. Some of the research on that. But other than that, that's my opinion. If you have a difference of opinion, feel free to comment. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Um, and if you have any topics you want us to discuss or any words you want us to get out, Brothers of Liberty 76 at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And once again, this is the older brother of Liberty reminding you what true freedom is and ought to be.